Chris, and this is Barn on 11970. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And we are going to be talking about round two of the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And I'm going to give my opinions, and you are free to give your opinions about what you thought if you saw the debate. Now, I do have to say, in all fairness, I am a little bit biased towards Trump. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. I am one of those people that really knows that this system is a corrupt system, and presidents are not elected, they're selected. That's my opinion. Whether you believe it or not, that is up to you. This is a rigged system. It's been proven with the WikiLeaks. It's been proven, in my opinion, that this is not the first and only time this has ever happened. There's a lot of acting playing involved in here. But I still want to talk about what I thought in this debate, whether it's scripted, whether it's 100% genuine. I'll leave that for you to decide, but I'm going to give my opinions. And welcome to anybody that comes to listen to what I have to say. When I first started watching this debate, when we call it round two, I was a little worried at first because Trump started out looking very timid. He was very quiet. He started out the debate, starting out like he did in the other debate where he was agreeing with what Hillary said. His head was down, so he had almost a position of weakness. And then all of a sudden, I think he got charged up once the inevitable came when they were talking about the recordings of things that he said 10 years ago. Now, let me talk about that. I think anybody that criticizes him for the things he said is being a hypocrite. In closed-door sessions, people around the world, they're not as politically correct as they are on camera. So let's keep it in proper perspective. I'm not going to agree with the things he said, and I'm definitely not going to condone them. But for people, the one thing I've noticed this day and age, and people are so horrified by what other people do, and they point fingers, but they don't realize that we all do these things. And if we're all going to point fingers and say, oh, evil person for something they said 11 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. And again, I'm not justifying it. But to sit there and pretend that people don't talk like that, people are being very hypocritical. I've worked in bars. I've been associated with people around bars. I've been a lead singer of a band. I'm a DJ. I've been surrounded by people, and you'd be amazed at what people say, both men and women. So we got to keep it real here. So I just want to get that off the bat. But I think once that got taken out, and he started talking about Hillary's husband, because there is a difference between saying something and actually doing things. And again, I am saying, in my opinion, I think the system is rigged. I've been saying for over a year now that Hillary was selected to become president. I think this is a big game, but I want to talk about what was said. And I have to say that after that, Donald Trump owned the rest of this debate. I love some of the comments, and one of the biggest comments that I loved is he kept attacking Anderson Cooper and the other woman from ABC, saying how, and you notice this, that Hillary would hardly ever get interrupted. She was allowed to go over her times. Donald Trump would get interrupted all the time, and he pointed it out and called them out. So I like that. Whether this is a game or not, whether it's staged or not, or anything like that, one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why I appreciate Donald Trump, is the fact that, rigged or not, he's calling out the mainstream media, something I've been talking about for years. And like I said, you could get, even from your worst enemy, you could get good information, and you could get benefits if you take certain parts. Now, I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump says. And I don't believe he's going to end up being president because the voting system doesn't work the way we think it does. As much as you want to believe it's your patriotic duty to go there and not understand how the corrupt system works, if that makes you feel better, that's fine. But I will have to say, in this debate, Donald Trump was definitely strong. He was not allowing the quote-unquote moderators to take over the center stage, and I like the fact that he was calling them out. So for me, I appreciate stuff like that. And you see typical Hillary, and one of the reasons why I'm so against her, she's the typical politician. She talked about Donald Trump's taxes, and whether you like it or not, You could say every president is going to say what the people want to hear because the majority of people are not billionaires. The majority of people are poor and at best middle class. So they always want to hear, don't tax us, tax people above our bracket because it makes them feel better. And I understand that. Being a poor person myself, who wouldn't want to have passed the bill to someone else? But let's keep it in proper perspective, ladies and gentlemen. In this corrupt system, the government's tax system, which has been in place for many a decade, favors the absolutely wealthy because they have the ability to open foreign bank accounts. They have the ability to work in other countries. They have the ability to hire lawyers that can help them find every single loophole in that system. The system is made for the wealthy. So it's wonderful when people say things like, "Oh, we need to tax the wealthy." That's wonderful to say. But how are you going to tax them if they know how the system works? If they take all of their earnings and place them overseas? If they take their businesses and place them overseas where our IRS and our taxes cannot be affected there, how do you get, like they say, blood from a turnip or blood from a stone? But they don't want to talk about that. And for me, Hillary Clinton is the typical politician. They are there for the money. They are there for the wealthy. And some of the things I like, again, whether this is staged and scripted or not, I love the fact that Donald Trump called out people like George Soros and other multi-millionaires, if not multi-billionaires, and how they take advantage of the system. So if anything, this brings light to it, and I appreciate things like that. That's why I've even said, although I don't watch Alex Jones, I can understand why people gravitate to him, especially in the beginning, because you can get information you may not have been privy to. The idea is not to follow somebody blindly and say that person is some kind of god. As much as if I had a gun to my head and I had a choice of either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, of course I'm going to pick Trump. Because she's a proven liar. She's a proven corruption. She's proven that she's there for the establishment and not the people. And they'll say lots of words. And she stood there with a smile all the time, trying to be prim and proper. That's all well and good. And I can understand why people gravitate towards Trump, because he talks like the typical person, the typical human out there that's struggling, who is tired of the lies. And I love the fact that he called out Anderson Cooper and the other quote-unquote moderator on many occasions. And I think that's what we, the people, need to start doing. We don't have to believe in everything that they say and do, but we could take the things out that make sense and turn it into something worthwhile and something that benefits us. And I am so tired of the corrupt system. I am so tired of places like CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS and all these corrupt systems of quote-unquote reporting and these mainstream media newscasters that are not there for us. And they read just as many scripts as all these other paid actors do. And we're the ones that suffer. And how do we avoid feeding that system? By staying away from it. There's a reason why I don't have mainstream media television anymore. And I don't have cable. Yes, I'll get things like Netflix. And on occasion, I'll get Hulu. Maybe once in a blue while I'll get that. But I don't watch mainstream media. I don't watch the news. If you don't participate in it, you don't have to worry about their negative influence in their lives. But for some reason, we still focus on them, even though we know they're corrupt. And it's our choice to do the right thing, the wrong thing, or nothing. So I'm going to say in this act, Act 2, or Round 2, or whatever you want to call it, Trump clearly came out on top. Because he was assertive, he did not back down, and like I said, I love the fact that he called out the media, and more of us need to do that. So whether he's bought and paid for, whether he's part of the system, whether he's just there for his own selfish reasons, I don't care. What I care about is the things that we can benefit from. And I love the fact that he's the first person that I can remember in any political round of anything that was calling out the mainstream media and basically saying to them, stop it. And he also pointed out the favoritism. Those are things we can take. Those are the things that we can run with. Those are the things that we can agree with. This mainstream media of this government system is corrupt. And people have to stop being afraid to say what things are. And you can take the best out of things. Because let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, and if you're offended by curse words, hold your ears or press mute for a second. But you know what? Shit is horrible. But you can take shit and turn it into fertilizer. So in other words, you could take the worst thing that most people would not want to have anything anywhere near them, and you can turn it into something good. So what I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, do not follow anyone blindly. Do not think just because you like somebody that they can do no wrong. Of the two candidates, I would pick Trump over Hillary, but make no mistake, I don't view Trump as the answer to all my prayers. I don't view him as the second coming of Jesus. He has said and done wrong things. That's why I don't condone things he said and bragged about. But let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When somebody like, for example, Bill Clinton has been doing all the things that he's done with women and got impeached for it, or at least the trials to impeach him for it, it's a little hypocritical. And that's what this government system is all about. Because the biggest thing about this round two is they went back and forth calling each other liars. And that is, in a nutshell, what our government has become. A bunch of paid off liars who will tell you everything that you want to hear so you could sleep better at night. And while you're sleeping better at night, they are stealing from you. They are going overseas with your sons and daughters and having them either get killed or murdering other people so they can continue their suppression of the people, to silence them, to keep them manipulated, to keep them restrained, to have their freedom slowly taken away more and more while they get wealthier and wealthier. This is where we need to grab the best possibilities out of the situation. So whether you like me or not, or like my message or not, at least know the fact that we can debate like human beings, and we can try and make this world a better place. And a lot of people are frustrated. Now, if the economy's doing well, like people like Obama try and make you think that everything's great and everything's wonderful, there would be no reason for things like this, and Donald Trump would have never had the opportunity to become president. People are tired of the lies, but we got to stop doing nothing about it. Stop watching mainstream media. Stop putting your money in bank accounts. Stop being dependent on others to take care of you. I mean, if you're somebody that's physically disabled or mentally disabled or have no one to turn to and you need government assistance, that's one thing. But I seriously doubt that 33% of this country cannot work and cannot be dependent. And they would rather leech off the system thinking it's going to last forever. Nothing lasts forever. So whether this is a staged event or it's 100% legit, Trump won this one hands down. And he said things I appreciated, which is standing up against the corrupt mainstream media, calling them out like no one else ever has. And every time they try to silence him, he said, you know what? No. And he cut through them. We need to do that. We need to take that from him. But like I said, he's no God. He's no savior. We are. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to debate this, if you want to talk amongst yourselves, all I ask is you don't have to agree, but just disagree respectfully. And until we can talk like human beings, we are never going to progress as a civilized society. So talk amongst yourselves. Comment, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos, and see that I'm not for anybody other than the people. Because I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of watching my fellow people losing. I'm tired of the fighting. I'm tired of the insults. I'm tired of everybody trying to hurt everybody else. It's got to stop. What you do with it is totally up to you. I'm glad I watched this. I originally wasn't going to watch this debate. But then I was like, you know what? Let me see how the play goes. And I just love the fact that he's calling out. Of anything I could take out of that whole entire thing, I love the fact that he pointed out that Hillary's been there for 30 years. What has she done? I like the fact that he called out Bill Clinton when they're trying to talk about things that he said. Now, like I said, I don't condone what he said. But if people are going to sit there and pretend to be so sweet and innocent and be offended by it, and you don't know anybody or yourself has not said things like that in a bar or at a party or anywhere else, you're a hypocrite. And people are so quick to judge other people. And it's so sad that people will sit there, oh, I can't believe that person said that. What nerve. Like you've never done it before. Let me tell you something. In my lifetime, I've said many a thing that I am so glad were not recorded. Because that's just life. When you're hanging out with your guy friends or girls hanging out with their girlfriends. Because let me tell you something. When I work at salons, I rent space as a massage therapist. I have worked with nothing but basically women for the past 20 years. You should hear some of the things groups of women say when their men aren't around. So much so that I would never let my wife go to a salon and talk like that. It's disgusting, some of the things I've heard, and they would be embarrassed to the extreme if it ever got recorded. But that's reality, ladies and gentlemen. When the camera's on, you have somebody like Hillary Clinton will sit there with a smile, who will say everything correctly, tell you everything that you want to hear, spin everything so it sounds great. Then you'll have somebody like Trump, who is not the typical politician, who's going to speak from his mind, and he's going to talk like a billionaire playboy. I challenge any man on this planet at the age of 20 to the age of 50. If you all of a sudden were a multi-billionaire and you had fame and fortune and all these people wanting you, you're going to sit there and pretend to think you wouldn't say anything about how you can all of a sudden get all the women you want? I mean, the hypocrisy and the judgment of some people is absolutely incredible. I know I would, and I'm not sitting there trying to deny it. But the people always pointing fingers at other people, and it's so ridiculous, the hypocrisy in this world. And people are so afraid to speak their mind for fear of being judged. I don't care what anyone watching this thinks of me in a negative light of view, because they will never put food on my table. My wife helps me put food on my table. I put food on my table as much as I can. My wife does more of it right now because she's actually doing better than I am. And I'm proud of her for that. But nobody listening to this channel, whether they love me or absolutely hate me, are going to influence how I run my family. So you can make an opinion and hate me all you want. But I'm not afraid to speak my mind and say things the way they really are. People are so offended now, and they pretend to judge other people and think they've never done anything. I would love to see everybody's tax records and see if they paid everything and reported every single thing. It's ridiculous, the hypocrisy in this world. But we love to watch someone fall. And we wonder why this system is failing and why this system is falling. Because while we're sitting there with the holier than thou thinking we're better than everybody else and we could judge other people because it's the in thing to do because everybody else is doing it, and we're all trudging to other people thinking we're better than them just to watch them fall so we get a pleasure out of it, is it any wonder why our country's falling and our government is falling and our financial ability to live is falling? It goes hand in hand. So until people get rid of their hypocrisy, until people get rid of their judgments and they start seeing the world for what it really is, it's an imperfect place where we're here to learn something, not point fingers and judge people all the time. We're never going to get better. And I'm guilty of it, just like everybody else is. But here's the difference. I can admit when I am guilty of it. People want to sit there and say, oh, wasn't me. I would never do that. Look what that person's doing. Look what that person's doing. Look what that person's saying. Look what that person's done. How dare they? Really? People got to take those blinders off. You know, it's blinders are wonderful, but not when you're driving a car. Unless you want to fall off a cliff or crash into somebody and then sit there and wonder dumbfounded how it happened. People don't want to take responsibility, and that's why they need leaders. Because they need to be led instead of leading themselves. And people like me and others that lead for themselves, they get hated on. Why? Because then it makes other people feel like, oh, I'm just a follower. I do what everybody else does. To me, a trend is when somebody else is telling somebody else what to do, what to wear, what to say. Don't follow trends. Start a trend. Be a leader, not a follower. And that's why people are so hung up on these debates. I could give two craps who wins. Whether it's genuinely the voters who made it happen, hardly, or whether they are selected. I am the person who is responsible for me, no one else. And until people get that through their heads and they stop relying on other people, because you're putting your trust in other people thinking, oh, I sure hope they'll do the right thing. And that'd be great if they did. But if that was the case, we wouldn't have debates like this going on. Keep walking around with blinders on and watch what happens when you fall off a cliff. So people don't want to hear this stuff. They want to cover their ears. They want to hide their eyes. They want to keep their mouths shut for safety, so they are not judged while the world crumbles around them, and they sit there dumbfounded when they finally take the blinders off and they look and everything they love is gone. It's gone because you let others take it from you while you chose to be willfully ignorant. And that's all I have to say about this debate. So if you appreciate it, do whatever you want. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You want to subscribe or unsubscribe? You're welcome to do back and forth. I've seen many people unsubscribe and come back, and I've seen others leave and many come over. I don't care. I'm here because I want to speak the truth as best as I know how, from my own personal experience, my own personal opinion. And I will never pander to my audience to get views or say what you want to hear. So that's it. So thanks for watching. Get a dialogue amongst yourselves. Have a great night. And stop being led. Be your own leader. Stop relying on others because they're just going to take more and more. And one day they'll take everything and it'll be too late. Don't let it happen. It's your watch. Let's see what you make of it. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Mic drop.